It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
The Knights? Oh! Listen to you, Pilk.
Happy birthday,
The birthday.
Patrick.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
You know, I was going to play Marilyn Monroe singing it to President Kennedy, and then I thought, maybe not the most appropriate thing.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, just a year older and nowhere near wiser. All right. Well, what a gift I have for me today, because John Gilbert, who sent over a beautiful cake and bouquet of flowers, I might add, I get a chance to thank him right now because he joins us, ECU Director of Athletics. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm excellent. Happy birthday, and thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, and it's a real treat anytime we have you on, and just extra special today for the birthday extravaganza. So, all right. Well, many things to jump into here. When I booked this, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to talk about this, this, and this, and ever since that time, a million stories have broken that affect college athletics. So let's jump right in. The big one I got to think is the deep discussions that the power brokers are having. It has to do with this House lawsuit and bringing NIL in-house. How does that affect East Carolina? And I guess not all in-house NIL accounts, much like collectives, are going to be created equal, are they?
Well, you're actually talking about two different things. The first, in the House versus the NCAA, they are suing. The premise of the suit is some athletes have come together. House is a former swimmer at Arizona State. There are a couple other former student athletes involved. And what they're doing is they're suing the Power Four schools for back NIL pay before there was NIL. And so what that's done is it has created a window of opportunity that the four power conferences and the NCAA they're at the negotiation table to basically talk about collective bargaining. And what they're talking about is picking a number, and the number I keep hearing is somewhere around 20 to 25 million a year that these Power Four schools would share revenue with their student athletes.
Where does the coming in-house and under the athletic department come into play there with that?
Well, there are two separate issues. There's this revenue, and let's just for easy purposes call it 20 million. This 20 million that each school would have to pay, it's basically they're taking that number off of TV revenue, ticket sales, and those things, not right. Donations. And so that would be a straight revenue share. They're not really referring to that as NIL. It's basically a revenue sharing model. Okay. I think NIL would probably still exist for what it was intended to exist for, where, you become a good player and we sell your jersey at the bookstore and you get to share in the revenue of that. I still think those opportunities will be there. This discussion is about revenue sharing off of athletic department revenues for the Power Four schools.
What happens with teams in the American, what happens with East Carolina in particular, if this is enacted, at that level of, because not every school, I can't imagine every school in that P4 strata can afford to do 20 to 25 million. Maybe they can, since it is revenue share, but I can't imagine that they are.
Yeah, they cannot without making some serious cuts. I think what you're going to do is you're going to see a tiered system. You're going to see a tier that is revenue sharing, and I think you're also going to see a tier that is more of the collegiate model of what you see today.
So, with that said, there's been reporting that there's a discussion among the non P4, G5 for simplicity's sake, of having its own football championship. Is there any validity to that? And what happens then? Are we creating such a class system that, or do you think there's enough of an appetite there that there would be interest in still watching and consuming those football, games on television or streaming?
Yeah, the thing I would say, Patrick, is if you look what's going on in our industry right now, everyone is talking about the most resource schools, like what is happening and what is the direction. And so, I've been a part of the discussions of some of these conversations of what would something look like for the rest of us. I would say the conversations are very premature. I would call it almost exploratory phase. And I think it's important to be a part of the conversations because no one is looking out for us. And I mean us, let's just call it the schools that are resourced like ECU. No one's having a discussion about them. Like the bigger schools are worried about themselves, rightfully so. They're not worried about the greater impact of intercollegiate athletics. And so I would call them very exploratory conversations of, what is best for us. I would rather be proactive and be a part of those conversations where we're not sitting around and waiting on everybody else to make a decision on what's going to happen.
John Gilbert, ECU Director of Athletics, joins us. What do you see, John, as the future of the NCAA as far as it appears the SEC and the Big Ten in particular are the ones that, even under new negotiations with rev share are the ones that are going to have the seat at the table, not the ACC or the Big 12 necessarily?
Well, I think all of the Power Four will have a seat at a table. Now, depending on whether they can revenue share and whatever stipulations they come out of with this settlement will determine of who stays and who goes. And it'll purely be a financial mathematical equation. We generate so much revenue, we can allocate, and again, I'm just using a standard figure, 20 million to share with our student athletes. Who can afford to do that and who can't, and what type of cuts or reductions do we have to do to make that work?
So is there any talk of a collective being taken in-house by any of these institutions? I mean, where does that talk come from, or is that just...
Well, it's not really about the collectives coming in-house. It's more on revenue sharing. Like
right.
Right now on NIL, I can't take Pirate Club dollars and in turn go pay our student athletes NIL money.
Right.
Not permissible. And so I don't think the collectives will necessarily come in-house. I think the schools that want to play on that upper tier, there's going to be a standard of if you produce, and again, I'm not a part of those discussions, and I'm ballparking or giving you a hypothetical here. If you have revenue over $100 million, okay, you have to share this amount, and for argument's sake, let's call that 20 million. You have to share 20 million in revenue with your student athletes. Well, in order to do that, a lot of schools are going to have to make cuts to do that. I think NIL is a separate financial piece that will still be a part of the total equation, but it will be more what NIL was intended for, meaning
Gotcha.
a business or someone could still partner with an athlete if they feel like that athlete is driving revenue to help that business. But the way NIL is going now, it is on, the backs of donors and businesses that love their university and want to invest and help their university be competitive on the field.
So let's say it is a $20 or $25 million cap budget, however it's phrased. Does any of that trickle down, and maybe that next level has a lesser amount, or the discussions that you're having now are that's not even really going to come into play? We're not going to be compensating athletes from the coffers of, say, the Pirate Club or whoever at a similar institution.
Have had no discussion about where that's going to land. And I think it's this lawsuit is driving it all, and the lawsuit
Right.
is targeting the Power Four. But to bring it closer to home, if we were to share our revenues with our student athletes, then we would have to make some sort of internal reductions to do that, because as you are well aware, ECU does not operate in the black. We need institutional support and investment to make our enterprise run. So in order to share in any revenue, we would have to make some significant reductions somewhere to make room for that.
With that said, has there been revenue growth in the last couple of years post-COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, our revenues are at an all-time high. We are selling more tickets, more donations, our multimedia rights contract, marketing dollars, conference distribution, pretty much in every category. We are definitely in the top of the pyramid in our league from a revenue generation standpoint.
Do you foresee that continuing to grow?
Well, I think it can grow now, short of going on a big run in, say, football and men's basketball. There's still growth in those sports, but obviously it takes, I would call it a significant amount of competitive success to grow that revenue piece.
Before we get a break here on those two sports, you stated in sort of in conjunction with Coach Houston, a state of the program after last season's disappointment, that a bowl game is the expectation. Let's just talk football. I know there are hopes that you would exceed the minimum total to be bowl eligible this year. And we had Coach Houston on yesterday, and he's very excited, both publicly and then just privately talking with him about the potential for this year's team. So does that mean 6 wins is the bare minimum, or is it just, will you be able to kind of feel if it's a successful season, if you will, outside of what would be obvious, which would be a winning season, which would be bowl games, et cetera?
Well, I think, and I'm talking in very general terms,
Yeah.
A winning season in a bowl game, I would call that the very basement of my expectation. Where we are, I do feel like we can field a competitive team on a consistent basis. But I've never been one to put a number of wins on a coach. I don't think that is, fair for the program, based on a number of factors. So I think each season you evaluate unto itself, injuries and other determining factors. But I would say in general, winning season and a bowl game is the basement of my expectations. I have much higher expectations for this program. I want and believe that we can win at a very high level.
For Mike Schwartz, he'll be entering year 3. What are your expectations for men's basketball in year 3?
Well, same. I want to have a winning record. I want to be in the upper third of our league. If you if you look at all of our sports in general and you look at them as, individual islands, so to speak, some of our sports have a long, long history of winning, no matter who the coach has been. Other sports have been a challenge to produce winning seasons. And I looked a few weeks ago, and I think basketball, just from a historical standpoint, we have not had many winning seasons at ECU. I firmly believe we can win in men's basketball here. But if you look at history, history has not been kind in the win column for the Pirates. And so I fully believe in Coach Schwartz. I think that the dynamic has changed so much. We had a head coaches meeting yesterday, and I basically told them, do not worry about redshirting a student athlete. If they feel like that student athlete can help you win or be competitive in a game, you better play them, because the reality is being able to hold on to our student athletes is difficult, and you're almost fielding a new team every year. But I would say my expectations for men's basketball is to have a winning season.
Is it a chicken or egg with men's basketball? Does the investment need to take a more significant upward trajectory? Do you feel like it's there to yield those results? Does it have to produce first before there'll be an appetite to put more money into it?
Well, one, last year in particular, I'd say we spent more money on men's basketball than we ever have. And so we are committed to investing and continuing to invest in it. I do think it's one of those, we've got to invest and we've got to prove that we can win. And I think, more opportunities will come for the program after we have a winning season.
Yeah. John, if you could hang through a break here, a couple other things I want to speak to you about. John Gilbert, ECU Director of Athletics, is with us. We've got a top 10 baseball matchup coming up tonight, and we'll have that for you here on 94.3 The Game between number 6 ECU and number 9 Duke, so you won't want to miss that. But more of John Gilbert as we continue on here on the Patrick Johnson Show Tuesday.
Ready to save thousands with a great rate? Get 0% financing at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Shop our massive inventory of new Toyotas, available as low as 0%. Hurry to Greenville Toyota today, where our volume saves you money.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low. To the window, to the window, to the wall, to the wall.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
New Toyotas, 0 down and only $369 a month at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Buy with 0% or get Corollas, $369 a month with 0 down. This is not a lease, you own it. Plus, get our Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota.
Download the new IBX Media app now and get the show for your ears and eyes.
Doesn't it look great on me?
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Okay, John Gilbert joining us here. ECU taking on Duke tonight in baseball from Clark LeClaire Stadium. John, I wanted to go back really quick to this possibility of a non-P4 championship in football. Again, these are, I guess, preliminary, exploratory ideas. Does that have some legitimate legs? Do you feel like that is appropriate given the landscape and scope of things now? And will that garner television interest as far as at this level, continuing to be able to receive television dollars from an ESPN or a Fox or streaming service or whoever?
I think it's undetermined at this time. I think it'd be very premature for anyone across the country to go, hey, this is a worthwhile endeavor that everyone should explore. Too many unknowns. But I would say we should be having the discussions about what our future looks like, again, because most people are just sitting around going, what are the big four going to do? And then we can react once they've made a decision what they're doing. I do think it is important to at least have exploratory discussions about what is the best avenue for schools like us. And I don't know that answer to that question today because still too many unknowns on, finances and other things.
Sure.
The positive is right now there is a pathway through the playoff, and the playoff money has gone up a little bit for the group of 5 schools. Not much, $200,000, improvement, and there's not much upside. So just to give you an example, if a group of 5 school, gets into the 12-team playoff and they go and win it, there's not new money for them. They're getting what they're getting. So I think, everybody on this level is just having preliminary discussions to figure out, hey, what is the best path forward for someone like us? And it doesn't mean that we wouldn't play the bigger schools. And I'd even say calling it a group of 5 championship, I would say all that's very premature.
Sure. So you mentioned playing teams. Scheduling's always the question I'm sure you get as much as you get any question out there. As far as there was some legislation introduced, Jason Sane, chair of the Appropriations Committee, Destin Hall, who's looking like he's going to be the next Speaker of the House. He's an app guy. Sane is a Charlotte guy, although we did have Sane here for the Charlotte football game, and his son loves ECU, so we got a chance there, John, with that.
We need to cultivate that.
But and those guys get East Carolina because again they are from institutions of just similarity in a lot of ways. To play NC State and UNC, those 3 institutions, home and away, football, which I think is a slam dunk. Basketball, we'll see. That includes men's and women's basketball. It only to a degree happens in women's basketball. But just your reaction to that legislation that was filed last week.
Well, I think certainly our fan base, it's a game that matters to our fan base because of the proximity of the institutions. There's obviously long history of playing the schools. So I am appreciative of that, and certainly want the ability to play those schools. The reality is we play them in most other sports, soccer, lacrosse, baseball. We're playing them. It is, uh, you know, football and men's basketball. There's been this reluctance from, their part for a consistent scheduling model.
It would include App and Charlotte. I think football makes a lot of sense. Basketball, there's some different politics at play when it comes to basketball in those schools. But, hey, I think it's something worthwhile of getting behind if you're an ECU fan. With the scheduling of football, that's always the big question that I'm sure you get. Any updates you can provide? Are you close to maybe making some announcements?
Couple games and discussions, but nothing ready from an announcement standpoint.
There is, it seems like Mike was telling me yesterday, Coach Houston, that the indoor facility, hoping to break ground by the winter. There are a couple of maybe big contributions, gifts out there that are on the hook or are close, and that will push this thing over the finish line. Baseball's very close to their groundbreaking. And then golf obviously has some construction for some practice facilities that is also in the offing.
Yeah, really excited about where we are on the Pirates Unite campaign. Our Pirate Club and our donors have just done an exceptional job of answering the call. The indoor building, we're probably at the 21, 22 million out of 25. We have roughly 3 million to go. I would hope to break ground, next winter sometime, winter to early spring on indoor. We're a little ahead of as it relates to baseball. My hope on baseball would be to break ground in January, February of the coming year. Golf, we've already broken ground on golf at Ironwood. And so all these are pending board approval, board of governors. So we still have some processes and approvals to go through before we get that approved, but feel like we're in really good shape on all three of those projects.
You are on the baseball selection committee. How is that going? And when East Carolina comes up, do you have to be off the call or leave the proverbial room? How does that process play out, or how has it played out so far?
Well, we've only had one call thus far where they're called regional advisory calls, and we get on the phone with the coaches in that region, the designated coaches in that region, and listen to them on who they think the top teams are in their area. So just taking notes right now, and obviously following, RPI and KPI and all the many data points. I think as we get into selection, I will not be able to advocate on behalf of ECU, so I will be recused when it comes to the Pirates.
We had Mike Oresco in town last week throughout the first pitch at the baseball game. I was texting with the commissioner back in Dallas, so I missed him because I was not on campus till Saturday with softball. And, he is obviously in a matter of weeks retiring. If you could maybe speak a little bit on Mike Oresco, and he's obviously, I think, worked very, very hard to do what he thought was best for the group of schools in the conference by what he's, added and what he's had to do in an ever-changing landscape and an ever-changing face with conference realignment.
I think when I think of Mike Oresco, I think of someone that has been a huge asset for our conference and the member institutions. He's been such an advocate for us all at this level, and would continue to beat the drum for access and visibility. And so I think he is certainly going to leave a great mark, not only on the American Athletic, but I would call a mark on all institutions that look like us, that are striving for access to the biggest playoff and visibility in the country. The commissioner's been just such a tremendous advocate for us all.
Tim Pernetti is the new commissioner. He comes from quite a background with IMG and just their various levels of things that they are involved in the world of sports and entertainment. And what have you heard from Tim Pernetti that gives you a lot of excitement or confidence in the job that he has planned?
Well, one, I'm excited that he's sat in the chair before. He was the athletic director at Rutgers. He's a former student athlete. He played football at Rutgers. He understands the student athlete experience. He has at least one child that is a student athlete, so he understands from a parent perspective what it is to have a student athlete as a child. He comes from a diverse background, not only as the experience as an AD, but he's worked at media companies, CBS Sports. He most recently ran IMG Academy. I think you'll see a very entrepreneurial mentality coming from Tim Pernetti, and he's coming at the right time. I think that he will be very aggressive on trying to move our conference and our institutions forward.
As it currently sits, and this is more of a refresher than anything, the current deal with ESPN for the conference, what is the term on that? Are there any resets within that term, et cetera?
I think our TV contract ends in 32. We have a reset or a look in. I believe it's in 26 or 27. We're adding Army this year. Army still will be operating their home games through CBS Sports Network. I think that falls off or contract expires in 27 or 28. And so once that falls off from Army, I think we'll have a look-in period at that point.
Understood. Do you foresee a basketball-only member being added to the conference?
I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think it will be imminent. There's nothing for this coming year. We'll play with 13 schools this year. Could we add one in the future that's basketball only? I think we could do that. I think it would solely determine on, what does the payout look like to the new institution? Would there be new money coming in to fund their distribution, or would the current member institutions have to take a reduction in order to pay for, their revenue share? And that's really what it would come down to.
Yeah. John, anything else we didn't cover here? Like I said, you have the idea of, okay, we're going to talk about the ECU season, academically, athletic year that was, but all these things are just coming every day. You know better than anybody about all these things coming every day.
Well, I think it is just such an interesting time in intercollegiate athletics. And I've said this repeatedly, we've had more change in the last 2 years than the last 25 years. Not long ago, we couldn't give a student athlete a ride across campus. And now you can basically buy a car for a student athlete. That's how far we've come. And so more changes coming. I think it's going to start at the highest levels with some direct revenue sharing. And then I think you'll see some trickle down from that point.
Hey, John, always a real fantastic opportunity to speak with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and we'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Go Pirates.
Awesome to have John Gilbert on with us. Philip the Ref Pilkington with the 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. Then we'll come back and wrap things up, get you ready for the baseball game between ECU and Duke.
Thanks, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, as Patrick just mentioned, the Pirates will be taking on number 9 Duke tonight. Coach Godwin on his opponent, the Blue Devils.
Coach Pollard's done a great job. Duke's a great team. I'm thankful we have them here at home, and it'll be a very competitive game. And like I said, I hope Pirate Nation comes out and packs the place, and we have a great crowd. And we've got a great crowd who's energized and helping the Pirates pull through.
Network coverage for that is just moments away. It will go on right after our show concludes at 5:45. In softball, the American Athletic Conference announced some accolades this morning. Pirate pitcher Taylor Apple was named to the first team All-Rookie, and Emma Jackson, Morgan Johnson, and Taylor Woodring all made second team All-Conference. Shifting over to football, the team has added some depth at cornerback as Aiden Duncanson has transferred to ECU. The Georgia native was a 3-year commit of East Carolina out of high school before decommitting and heading to Chapel Hill. He spent 1 year with the Tar Heels but redshirted, so he will have all 4 years of eligibility when he comes to Greenville. The Carolina Panthers have signed running back Rashard Penny. The 28-year-old was in Philadelphia last season but started his career as a member of the Seattle Seahawks, where he spent time with new Panthers head coach Dave Canales. Game 2 of the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs will be tonight inside Madison Square Garden as the Canes try and bounce back from a 4-3 defeat in Game 1. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show, and we will be back to wrap up this Tuesday edition on the other side.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, Newbern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
All right. Good stuff with John Gilbert. Awesome to have him on. Philip the Ref Pilkington is here. I know Pilk has been slaving away under over a hot editing board and hot board and microphone, getting ready with the update and doing the show and all that. So appreciate it, buddy. Are you producing the baseball game, or is somebody else producing it tonight?
No, Isaac's going to produce it. I think this might be the first midweek I've been able to attend all year, so I'm looking forward to it. And
okay, well, you picked a good one.
I did.
Well, we're going to let you get out of here so you can get across town and do that. I know we got maybe just a few seconds left in the show. Eric Ritchie will take the bump for the Pirates, and ECU will try to get back to their winning ways after having their 10-game win streak snapped by USF in the second game of the Twin Bill on Sunday. You'll hear every pitch, every out, every inning of that game right here on 94.3 The Game. Thanks to John Gilbert. Tomorrow, I know Brian Mull's going to join us. We're talking with Jason Sane. I want to talk about that new legislation filed to have NC State and UNC play East Carolina, App State, and Charlotte. So Jason Sane will be coming on with us, if not tomorrow, sometime this week. I know next week, Parker Bird. We're going to have Rob Maloney later on in the week, Mike Mullis. So active as it always is on the Patrick Johnson Show. Thanks to John Gilbert. Thanks to Philip the Ref Pilkington. Thanks, everybody, for the birthday wishes. See you in the morning on Talk of the Town. Back here at 5 tomorrow for the PJ Show.